So what is the campaign going to entail? So you mentioned like some somewhat serious story, but how long are you
Mhm.
guys aiming for? Does does anybody on the team have writing experience, or is it going to
They
be
certainly do.
okay? Okay.
Yeah, so with Josh, while I did say his job is a lead 3D artist, he also has a background in writing. He's got a bachelor's in writing, I believe.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so as for the length of the campaign, it's going to take you through each of the levels
Mhm,
and give you like a brief background of like how the level came to be and such,
mhm,
like what's the overall purpose of it and such.
mhm, mhm,
And throughout each of the levels, there will be a small cutscene explaining the character's purpose in that scene.
mhm.
We also do have mini bosses and a final boss.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's interesting. So, what is the what would be a boss like in a game like this?
that's a good question. So with our boss, they will have generally like I guess, a harder difficulty for a bots
Mhm,
with the performance and how they play.
mhm.
But with our final boss, we're copying a little bit of something from Crash Team Racing. So I'm not sure if you played that game or not, but
I've definitely played it. Yes.
yeah, then you definitely know what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
So for those who haven't played it, in Crash Team Racing, the main boss, Nitrous Oxide,
Hmm.
in the very final race, he pulls out cheats, like he gets a head start and all that. I thought that's perfect. I need that for my boss in the final level. So with the final boss and final level, they may pull a little cheat here and there, but that's for you to play and find out, I reckon.
I completely forgot that. Entirely forgot there were bosses.
Mm.
It's been so like this is another game that I really enjoyed. I haven't played the I have not played the reboot, sadly.
Ah, you should. It feels so much like the classic,
Mhm.
and it's even better.
Okay, okay. I do have the reboot of the like the platformer games. I
Hmm.
haven't touched
Hmm.
that either. I did get around to doing the Spyro games, and I really enjoyed those because
Spyro Reignite was perfect.
mhm, ac mostly I I
Mostly.
I played it on PC. Would you play on console or PC?
Ah, yeah, I played on console.
Okay.
When I tried it on PC, I was like, "Oh, there's a couple bugs here and there."
Yeah, so there's a you'll enjoy this one.
Hmm.
Some of the game logic is tied to the frame rate, specifically
Yeah.
certain animations like doors opening and bridges
Oh
appearing.
no.
So if you play the game on not I would have thought if you played it on anything besides 60, but no, if you play it on 60 hertz, 60
Hmm.
FPS, doors probably won't open. Bridges probably won't appear. You have to play it at 50.
That's terrible.
I didn't realize this. So there was one part where I stood there waiting for something to open for 5 minutes. Like I
Oh no.
didn't know what was happening. But also some of the enemy AI is tied to the frame rate as well. So it also breaks. Um
I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize it was that bad. Like the only bug I've seen like was if you set it to like 144 frames, Spyro starts like gliding across the ground. But apart from that, I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah, it was besides that, I had a
Hmm.
fine experience. Oh, okay. This was just a bug generally in the game. There was one bit where an enemy got stuck in the ground, which was just always amusing. Um one of the levels where you have like a character following you and they just
Oh
decided
yeah.
not to follow me.
And was when you played this, was this like after the
It was like a
launch of
year
it, or
ago.
was very recently? Oh my goodness.
Like I can accept when there's like some graphical rendering bugs. I play most of my
Oh
games on
yeah, of
Linux.
course.
So there's going to be additional
Mm.
stuff with like I don't know, the proton and wine stuff, the Vulcan calls,
Mm.
and all that stuff. Fine. But like, game logic shouldn't be affected. Hopefully.
Yeah, like I can understand how it happens from a programming side of things,
Mhm,
but it could be avoided in certain ways.
mhm. For,
Yeah.
just for any programmers out there, if you are thinking of tying anything to your frame rate, don't. Stop it.
Mm.
Bad. Tie it to time. Time is
hmm
good. Frames are not.
I think you'll be happy to hear with Crushland Demolition Derby. I tried to make it future proof so you can play at any frame rate.
Oh wow,
You can
imagine.
play at 1, you can play at 1000, but it doesn't affect the gameplay.
Yeah. I always love classic, especially ports of PS2 racing games. A lot of them they were tied to the frame rate. So if you went higher to the frame rate, cars went double speed.
Oh, no way. On the PlayStation 2?
Yeah, there were a couple of really bad ports of a couple of games.
Oh.
Actually, no, maybe I'm thinking of a couple of PS3 games. Because I know during that era, like, PC porting was a bit funky. A lot of games were a bit,
Oh, definitely.
yeah.
Mm.
Part of
Yeah, I
that was
think you're
obviously,
right. Might have been PlayStation 3 range.
yeah, one of the two. I'm not 100%. Yeah, actually, I think it was.
Hmm.
I feel like it was one of like one of the PS3 or the that generation of Need for Speed games, which was really bad for that. I don't remember which. Doesn't matter. My point is, don't tie any logic to frame rate. There's
Good advice.
actually no. Worse than tying it to frame rate is going even older when games tied things to the CPU speed.
Oh, yes. And how they had to actually physically implement a turbo button to account for that.
Yeah, I that would have been such a weird era to play games, and like you upgrade to this new, more powerful Intel CPU. You have 60 hertz, and all of a sudden, everything
Speed
runs.
running the game.
Yup.
Could only just imagine though, like back then, programming probably wasn't as widespread, I guess. So like information was pretty sparse.
Yeah.
So I can understand the struggle they probably went through.
Well, yeah. Nowadays, it's easier than ever. Not only to learn how to make a game, but easier than ever to have access to good tooling. Like, I was looking up the other day, Unity came out in 2005. Before then, and even then, like, Unity was not popular back then. It took a while to, like, pick up speed. But before then, like, if you wanted to write a game, you were learning how OpenGL calls worked and writing a game directly through that.
Exactly.
There were some libraries that exist, or you work, you make your own engine if you want to do that, or you work at a company.
Pretty much. I believe there was one big widespread game engine.
Yeah, there were
back
things
in like
like
the early 2000s.
there
But
definitely were a
yeah,
couple, and like RPG Maker and stuff have existed for a long time.
but
But
yeah, I see your point.
it's certainly not like today where, you can go just download Unity or Unreal or Godot or
Especially with the countless tutorials out there.
yeah. YouTube is your friend.